Okay, so today we are attempting something, well, something pretty much impossible.
Chuckles. Just a small topic, then.
Just a small one. We are doing a deep dive into the United States of America. I mean, it's a nation whose history, its culture, and especially its sheer physical scale, it almost defies a quick understanding.
It really does.
We've pulled together this massive stack of sources, everything from, geography primers to cultural analyses, and we're going to try to give you the most critical, digestible insights.
And it's an essential task, because we are talking about a true giant. The USA covers nearly 10 million square kilometers, which makes it the third largest country on Earth.
Right, and home to what, about 341 million people?
Around that, yeah. And it's long been known by that weighty nickname, the Land of Opportunity.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our sources here cover such a dizzying range of topics, trying to define this huge, varied place. Our mission isn't just to list facts.
No,
It's to synthesize how this federal republic and presidential democracy is actually defined by its extremes, in its geography, its politics, its whole personality.
precisely. Its core identity is that famous melting pot, right? Blending these deep influences from Native American, European, African, Asian, and Latino cultures. We are trying to understand how that unprecedented size translates into its famous commitment to freedom, innovation, and maybe most crucially, its constant sense of internal striving.
We absolutely have to start with that scale. The geography is not just big, it's a collection of completely distinct worlds.
Totally.
You can go from near Arctic conditions in Alaska to the genuine tropics in Florida and Hawaii.
The variety is stunning, and it has these profound implications for regional identity, for resource distribution. I mean, think about the boundaries. A fun fact from our sources really drives this home.
Okay.
Alaska alone has more coastline than all the other 49 states combined.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that geographical isolation and scale, that has to be what shapes its economy and its sense of independence.
For sure. And then you've got Hawaii, the volcanic chain born of the Pacific Plate, which is the only island state.
Hmm.
But the real insight, I think, comes when we look at the natural wonders that define the national psyche.
Right, the symbols of raw, natural power.
Exactly. You have the Grand Canyon in Arizona, this enormous chasm, almost 30 kilometers wide, edged by the Colorado River, and it's rightly celebrated as one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. The contrast is just spectacular.
And you can move from that silent, ancient chasm to the roaring force of Niagara Falls in the Northeast, a massive waterfall system it shares with Canada. These sites show a land just defined by dramatic geology.
And the climatic extremes are just as sharp. You can travel from Death Valley in California, which, consistently registers as one of the hottest places on Earth,
Yeah.
to the towering majesty of Denali or Mount McKinley in Alaska. It's the tallest peak in North America, standing over 6,100 meters high. It's a country that just encapsulates geological and climatic impossibility.
That is an incredible natural range. But the human ambition to manage and conquer that scale is just as defining, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
We go from natural scale to engineering. We talk about the Great Lakes, the largest group of freshwater lakes on the globe. These aren't just bodies of water, they are historic highways that fueled industrial growth and trade for centuries.
And looking toward the interior, the great arteries of the continent are the rivers. You've got the Missouri River, which is the longest, followed very closely by the Mississippi.
Right.
These systems don't just drain the center of the continent. They shaped migration, industry, the entire agricultural belt of the nation.
And the human effort to control all of that, to connect these landscapes, it results in structures like the Hoover Dam. I mean, an engineering marvel that harnessed the mighty Colorado River for irrigation and power.
Or leaping across the country, you've got the Brooklyn Bridge, a historic triumph that connected two huge urban populations, Manhattan and Brooklyn. And it just demonstrated human ingenuity overcoming massive distance.
So it's a national story of controlling nature for commercial and societal purpose.
Now, let's pivot from the geography of scale to the geography of history. Because the Northeast, that's where you find the foundational symbols of American democracy. These sites define the philosophical blueprint of the nation.
The crucible of the experiment.
Exactly. We're talking about Independence Hall in Philadelphia. It's not just where the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. It's where the founders wrestled with the very concept of creating a federal republic.
Yeah.
A government built on representation, not monarchy.
And the Liberty Bell is right nearby, a symbol of that newfound independence.
Right. And if you look at the intellectual foundations, you've got Harvard University, founded way back in 1636, the oldest in the U.S. It symbolizes that commitment to education and intellectual inquiry that really underpinned the revolutionary generation.
Then you jump to Washington, D.C., the planned capital, with the White House and the U.S. Capitol, the seat of Congress. These structures are designed to represent stability, the separation of powers,
Mhm.
and, of course, the Statue of Liberty, that iconic 1886 gift from France, welcoming people on the Atlantic side. But here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
If the Statue of Liberty symbolizes welcome and freedom, how do our sources reconcile that foundational ideal with the complex, often fraught history of immigration and exclusion that followed? That tension is just critical to understanding the U.S. identity.
That is a central tension. And our sources, in their analysis of the current government structure, they underscore the dynamic and constantly shifting nature of this presidential democracy. They do it by noting the specific individuals currently holding the executive office, which illustrates that this system is always evolving.
And that political bedrock in the East, it just contrasts so sharply with the definition of the modern American image, which so often comes from the West Coast.
Oh, completely.
The West Coast, California in particular, it's the global projection of American identity. You have the Hollywood sign, the Walk of Fame, instantly recognizable symbols that confirm the American film industry as like the dominant cultural export of the last century.
And the engineering here focuses less on controlling rivers and more on creating spectacle. Think of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, one of the most photographed structures in the world.
Or even the mystery of Alcatraz Island, the former notorious prison.
Right. And even the Space Needle in Seattle, built for the 1962 World's Fair, it points toward this boundless, future-focused identity. And we can't ignore the immense cultural weight of American entertainment parks.
No way. Disneyland in California was Walt Disney's first park, and then Walt Disney World in Orlando became the world's most visited theme park. The U.S. exports not just philosophy, but pure, massive-scale entertainment.
And that drive to create spectacle and reach massive audiences, it links directly back to the very idea of American innovation. The scale of the imagination mirrors the scale of the land.
So what's the connective tissue between the political idealists and the dream makers? Our sources suggest the genius of American innovation isn't just in isolated inventions, but in the relentless commitment to mass scaling.
That's the key insight. We list the great inventors. Thomas Edison, the Wizard of Menlo Park, who gave us the light bulb in phonograph.
Right.
But his true innovation was establishing the electrical grid, turn a gadget into national electrification. Henry Ford didn't invent the car, he invented the assembly line, transforming transportation through mass production.
And the legacy of innovation, it includes more than just industrial figures. We have the essential contributions of NASA mathematician Katherine Johnson, whose precise calculations were absolutely central to the space race.
And we have to mention the German-born genius Albert Einstein, who found refuge in the U.S. and completely reshaped physics while operating within American institutions. This spirit carries right through to the modern tech frontier with people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk, who is currently pushing the boundaries of space exploration with SpaceX.
So it's a nation built on both homegrown and internationally imported genius.
And all dedicated to making the small big and the big attainable.
That variety and ambition, it just carries through into the actual cultural landscape, the flavor of the road, the regional flair. You can trace the shift westward on legendary roads like Route 66.
The main street of America.
Exactly, stretching from Chicago to Los Angeles.
Route 66, it symbolizes freedom and movement, but it also reflects the fragmentation of the American experience as people migrated west searching for opportunity. It's a road that tells 1,000 different intensely regional stories.
And speaking of regional flair, you see America's love for spectacle everywhere. Cedar Point in Ohio proudly calls itself the roller coaster capital of the world.
Of course it does.
Then there's the monumental Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri, a shining stainless steel curve symbolizing the historical gateway to the West.
And history is so intensely localized. Whether you're visiting the Alamo in San Antonio, the flashpoint of the Texas Revolution in 1836, or Graceland in Tennessee, the famous home of Elvis Presley.
The king.
These sites show how deeply cultural icons and historic struggles are woven into state identity.
But if we really want to understand the tension between the ideal of the Declaration and the reality of the nation, we have to talk about the people who fought to realize those ideals. The human element is crucial here.
Absolutely. The sources really emphasize the struggle for civil rights. Figures like Martin Luther King Jr., the dreamer and martyr, whose nonviolent philosophy confronted the nation with the hypocrisy of its own founding ideals.
And Rosa Parks, whose simple but incredibly courageous act sparked the Montgomery bus boycott.
And looking back even further, Harriet Tubman, often called the Moses of her people. She risked her life repeatedly to lead hundreds to freedom on the Underground Railroad. Their struggles are what truly define the meaning of freedom in the modern U.S.
And the fight for inclusion just continued. Through the suffragist Susan B. Anthony, who paved the way for women's voting rights.
And Harvey Milk, the first openly gay elected official and an enduring symbol of LGBTQ+ rights. They ensure that the we the people concept kept expanding.
Politically, these leaders defined the nation alongside giants who navigated moments of deep crisis or change. You have Abraham Lincoln, who preserved the Union during the Civil War.
John F. Kennedy, the visionary who launched the new frontier and the space age.
And of course, the significance of Barack Obama, the nation's first black president, symbolizing a profound, even if it's ongoing, shift in who can lead this republic.
And the reach of these figures and their nation, it extends globally through culture. I mean, the world consumes American film and music, defined by artists whose reach is just universal.
Think of the music legends. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, Michael Jackson, the king of pop, the soul-shaking genius of Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul.
And today you've got modern icons like Taylor Swift, a definitive songwriter of her generation, and Beyoncé, a complete cultural powerhouse.
They export American narrative and ambition everywhere.
In film, you have the eternal icon Marilyn Monroe, along with the defining directors. Steven Spielberg, who defined cinematic wonder with these massive, accessible blockbusters.
And Martin Scorsese, the master who examines the soul and the violence residing in the American experience. They tell the American story to the world.
Right. And finally, you can't overlook the unique role that sports play.
As a metaphor for American grit, focusing on national pastimes like American football, baseball, and basketball.
And the athletes are often the clearest examples of breaking barriers. Muhammad Ali, the greatest, was an activist who transcended sports.
Jackie Robinson, who broke baseball's color barrier, symbolized profound racial progress.
And Serena Williams, a tennis legend who just embodies power, precision, and grace. These figures exemplify perseverance, that constant striving to succeed against the odds.
So after all that, what does this all mean? We've covered everything from the immense geological extremes of Denali to the synthetic entertainment of Disneyland.
From the revolutionary ideals written in Independence Hall to the struggle for civil rights.
The USA is defined by its massive physical scale, its relentless mass-scaled spirit of innovation, and its complex, constantly evolving legacy of democracy and struggle.
It remains the world's largest economy, driven largely by technology and finance, and its official motto, "In God We Trust," really encapsulates that blend of ambitious capitalism and deep, inherited heritage. It is truly a nation of constant and often competing narratives.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to chew on. We've seen that the U.S. celebrates both its founding fathers, like George Washington, the ultimate symbol of foundational authority, and its modern cultural shapers like Taylor Swift, the ultimate symbol of modern influence and accessibility. Consider the span between the two. What does it tell you about a nation that treats the authors of the Declaration of Independence and the authors of global pop anthems with equal fervor as cultural icons? That's something to mull over on your own.